characters I've covered on this show are what I call legacy characters. They're characters that have a long history in the ride and have kind of an evolution you can track. It generally makes them easier to talk about. Today we'll be talking about a more recent addition to the cast of Happy Haunts, Prudence Pock. Who is she and how does she fit into the ride story? Sit back in your doom buggy as we try to figure that out together. In the early years of the Disney parks, Imagineers weren't really concerned with making the queue an experience. Maybe there'd be some props, but there wasn't a huge effort to make them as immersive as the rides themselves. But as more people began visiting the parks, and more people began standing in line, there was a greater push to put more to see in the queues. That idea eventually evolved into interactive queues. Interactive queues are exactly what they sound like. They're queues with interactive elements. There was a push in the 2010s to add them to Walt Disney World's most popular attractions, to give guests something to do while they waited. The Haunted Mansion was one of the first rides to get one, added in 2011. In addition to the regular queue that circled under the awning and up to the mansion's entrance, there was an extra area added next to it with more to see and do. Said Imagineer Pete Carleo on it, "The My Magic Plus and Magic Band programs were in their infancy at the time, and we knew the long-term goal was to provide guests with more control in how they plan their visit to the Magic Kingdom. We thought guests who elected the standby option should be rewarded for choosing a more immersive path. So think about that before you pay for that Lightning Lane reservation." The queue features both familiar headstones and some new ones, and one of them was a crypt belonging to a rider. There were 2 interactive gimmicks on it. On the long sides of it, there are books that you can push in, only for them to pop back out again. There are also little symbols on the side, but I think those are just for decoration. It's not like a secret code or anything. But its most ambitious gimmick was the Spectracom. The crypt's owner, we're getting to her, be patient, is trying to write a poem, but can't come up with the rhyming words to go at the end. Guests are able to speak through the Spectracom and help her finish the poem. Unfortunately, in recent years, it seems like this feature has been shut off. Now the poem finishes automatically, whether or not the guest is there helping. I mean, even on most crowded days, people waiting for the mansion don't stand still for very long. Big groups are led into the foyer every minute or so. That doesn't leave a lot of time for guests to participate in something like this. Whatever, that's just how things are. The owner of the crypt is a woman named Prudence Pock. The epitaph reads, "Here lies poetess Prudence Pock. She died, 'tis said, from writer's block." As said prior, she spoke through her crypt trying to finish morbidly comedic poetry. However, she could never figure out what goes at the end. Most of the poems don't have much to do with the mansion. The only one that does goes as followed. "In the swamp, poor Sally Slater was eaten by an alligator." The reference should be obvious to anyone with basic knowledge on the mansion. There isn't much to say about her characterization. She's just, kinda nice and likes talking to mortals. Outside of the attraction, Prudence has had only one appearance in related works, but it's a big one. She's one of the main characters in the 4th and final Tales from the Haunted Mansion book, Memento Mori. Instead of a poetess, she's an acclaimed horror novelist. She was doing a book signing at Ye Olde Bookshop in Liberty Square. Side note, missed opportunity to name it after an actual place in Liberty Square. Like, you could have called it the Heritage House or Oldwood Antiques. Or then again, maybe that store's name is a play on the Christmas shop's name. Okay, yeah, this is just nerd bullshit, let's move on. During her signing, which didn't seem to go well, she got an envelope inviting her to the mansion, signed by the librarian Amicus Arcane. She gets taken to the mansion and discovers, big shock, it's haunted. The ghost encounters lead her to being institutionalized, which is where we first meet her. She's been interviewed by a psychiatrist named Dr. Ackerman. Throughout their interview, she tells horror stories, and it becomes quickly apparent that things aren't quite as they seem. I won't spoil the twist, but it's actually a decently executed one. It's unexpected and makes sense within the story as a whole. There is one more thing we should talk about regarding Dear Prudence. If you're a die-hard Haunted Mansion fan, you'll likely recognize her last name, Pock. It also belongs to Phineas Pock, an alias that has been used by way too many ghosts over the ride's history. There's really been nothing confirming or contradicting the idea that they're related in some way, at least as far as official things from Disney go, but I can't see why they would give her that last name if they didn't want guests to connect the dots. especially since this was the beginning of the parks being given a somewhat consistent lore. Either way, there's that connection. Hi, Editor Ann here. Turns out there is official confirmation. This comes from a promotional video made for the Disney Parks YouTube channel about the interactive queue. It came out when it opened. Roll the clip.
This is the grave for Prudence Pock. She's the poetess here, and she's related to Phineas Pock, which is a famous Haunted Mansion character. But we're adding new stuff at the same time we're referencing the old.
So there you go. Prudence and Phineas are related. In what way, we don't know, but at least we know that. Also, I tried to look into it, but I couldn't find information about who her voice actress was. So if anyone out there happens to know, leave a comment. Okay, that's it. Let's finish this. Time will tell if Prudence's story will be expanded upon. But for now, we can enjoy all of the poetry and writing she gave to us. Let's just hope that writer's block clears up soon. But it's about time for us to move on. Please sit back in your doom buggy and we will proceed in the next episode. Thanks for watching.